many parents, they are stressed, and they should cope with all the demands in life, and they are running around like the classical rat, and they have a bad conscience, towards the children, and therefore they easily go to shop, and they buy a new computer, a new mobile phone, and give to the children, and hoping that the child will become a new William Shakespeare or a new Albert Einstein. And they will not, of course. If they really want them to become a new such person, then they must devote time, and they must give them a very, very broad area of teaching, learning, and knowledge. Not such a narrow thing like this, So actually the toy mobile phone or the toy wireless internet or whatever, it opens up a lot of philosophical questions of enormous nature, and I think that's fascinating, because biological and medical research, when it is at its best, then it will end up into philosophy, I think, as will physics and so on. I mean, they will sort of intermingle with each other, and I think it's very, very fascinating to watch this, But as I say, I'm completely unimportant, so therefore I don't have a need for that,
Then we're in the same club, the non-important club. Okay, but when we come back to this, it's you say children. When we go 25 years back in time, we didn't have this noise we have heard with this microwave detector. There was a silence, and that means that people had, they were in stillness inside, and they were in contact with their own nature, and therefore with the nature outside. And today we see not very many people use the nature.
No, that's true.
They don't go. They're gardening people. They are in contact with their intuition.
But there are of course few compared to the population.
Very few. And that means young children today are growing up in a noisy world. And that means they are going to have. They need to have music in their ears all the time. Have you heard the mobile phones playing music? It's like it's terrible noise. But what I have been telling many people is the mobile radiation or the wireless internet or these pulsations, they are actually vibrations. And then I remind them of Nikola Tesla, what he said, that if you want to understand the universe, you have to think of energy, frequency, and vibration. Because what I actually believe the mobile phone does is it disconnects the now. That means you come out of the only true reality, you can say, and then you become a lot of thinking about future and frightening about things that happened before, but will they come again? And people are scared of so many things today. And normally people, they answer me and say, no, when we have the phone with us, we can be in the now all the time and answer. And I say, no, when you're walking in the forest and just enjoying, watching the trees, the colors, the birds, just listening, just being one with trees and everything. Ding dong, hello, it's mom. It's so disconnecting. And you said it was unpolite if people are answering. I experienced that with friends, and sometimes when I call on this steady line or with the line on, I call them and their mobile phone is ringing in the background. They answer it and start a conversation. I just hang on, and they call me. They call back and say, "What happened?" I say, "You were talking to me. That was in the now." And then you.
That's funny that you tell me this story, because I had exactly the same story some time ago. There was a lawyer who called me on the ordinary stationary landline, and he was very stressed, and he started to say that he had been chasing me for weeks, and he had tried to call me and he didn't get a hold of me, and he was so happy because he had such an important. And then suddenly in his room there was a mobile phone going on, and when he said, "I have an important," oh sorry, and then he took the other call and started to talk, and I sat there for a few seconds waiting, because after all he had said that he had such an important something, but then I hung up and I did the same, and he called back the day after, and he was much more stressed and he was angry, and he said that, "What happened? Jesus Christ, we were on the phone and I came back and you were gone, you had hung up." And I said to him, when started to say that you had been chasing me, and then you started to talk with someone else, that must mean that I wasn't important, and therefore I hang up. And I said to him, if someone is going to call you now, I promise you I will hang up and I will never ever talk with you again. You have to decide now, in this moment, who is important. Is it me or is it someone else calling on your mobile phone, you know? And he nearly cried of frustration, you know. He was so stressed, and he said, no, I'm not going to touch the telephone. No, definitely not. And then afterwards we had talked, and it was a very important thing regarding a client of his and so on, you know, and a health issue and so forth. And afterwards, before he hung up, he said, well, thank you so much. You have given me so much more to think about. I must change my life, he said, and I hope he did.
We are sorry about the bad sound quality. We had an unforeseen problem occurring, and this means that we are missing some minutes. But Professor Ola Johansson and I were talking about the behavioral changes and the manner of people using the mobile phones, and how they actually get out of the now, how they forget who they are talking to, and how their behavior is changing, you can say, for the worse, or a not very polite manner. Then we were talking about responsibility. Whose responsibility is it actually? Is it the industry, the government, and of course you can say it's the consumer's responsibility, because the consumer can just stop using the mobile phones, stop using these equipments, and thereby changing a lot of things.